Hello, welcome back to Just Another Football Podcast. This is a really busy time of the season, but we have a special occasion today. So we'll have to talk about a main thing. The main event today is that Harry's back for the first time in 2024. Harry Nicol is on Just Another Football Podcast, the Arsenal season ticket holder, of course, the Arsenal representative. I'm a Liverpool fan. Fergal is a Chelsea fan, and we'll talk about the cup final coming up this weekend, of course. But Harry, welcome back.
Thank you, mate. Yeah, no, listen, I've been in hiding since unfortunate end to 2023.
Yeah, and then it's turned.
Time to get over, and it has turned, and I've sort of slipped back in. So
yeah,
it's turning.
It's turning.
It is turning, but we'll keep an eye on the results in the next couple of weeks to see if there is a pattern. You know, the sample size right now is not quite big enough, but before you left, it was 1 win in 5. Since you left, it's 5 wins in 5.
No, I need
what
to
happens afterwards? We'll see. But let's start with Arsenal, because you scored 11 goals in the last 2 games. The difference, I was saying before we started the show, if you go on the Premier League website and pull up this table that kind of gives you the form and you know, that red dot for a loss, gray dot, you know what I'm talking about, overlay.
Is it a rolling form, or is it just is it like a rolling 5-game form, not one of those?
No, it's like game by game. It tells you the position after each game week, and the difference is really stark. So before the end of the year and after the start of the year, and in between, like the turn of 2024 and the first game of 2024, there were 3 weeks there. Your team went to Dubai and apparently prepared a lot, and it reaped its rewards. First of all, you follow Arsenal obviously more than I do, more than I ever will. What happened in Dubai? What did they kind of prepare for? What do you think has changed since, in terms of like tactically? I know they did a lot of set piece work, but how do you
apparently
think?
Not. Apparently not, according to Arteta.
Interesting.
I mean, you basically take what he says publicly and just assume the opposite. So yeah, you're probably right. They probably did do a lot of set pieces.
I know he's lying just because Declan Rice is taking corners now.
He is. Probably started in the Palace game, that, didn't it? I'd seen him take a couple, actually. He took a couple in the Champions League. So like a couple of players had gone off. But yeah, properly he started taking them since the Palace game. Obviously got that assist within like 10 minutes in that match. And yeah, I mean, we're still good at set pieces. We were good at set pieces before the break. We're still good at set pieces. We look a threat. What happened in Dubai? I don't know how much of our sort of recent success you want to attribute towards a certain butcher/chef that goes by the name of Salt Bay, but that's about the only thing that went on publicly that I know from the outing to Dubai. But our form since it's been sort of a ringing endorsement for trips out there, warm weather training, because absolutely flying. It's crazy because watching it, you know, I don't feel like we're actually doing much different in our approach to games. And it sounds really silly to say when, as you say, we're coming off 1 win in 5 and 3 losses in a row, struggling to score goals, you know, conceding from not much really, in truth. But once you get into the habit of letting goals in, it just kind of, a bit like it was the end of last season, the ball just finds different ways of ending up in the back of your net. And that was kind of the way it was, certainly in those sort of last few games. But yeah, really, really impressive. And it kind of just goes to show how costly that couple of, particularly the league games, really, because we've rattled off 5 in a row, and yet if Man City win their game in hand tomorrow, we're still 3rd in the table.
Yeah.
So it does kind of show you that when you're going for the league, you can't afford many slip-ups, and you certainly can't afford to lose the 2 games we did was very costly.
Yeah, it was.
And it's not to say that, you know, not to be doom and gloom, because we've kind of pulled it back a little bit, but it's kind of, it's been a repair job rather than really, if we'd done what we should have done in that period, we might be sitting on quite a healthy lead at this point in time. So it's been good work to kind of get back in amongst it, and certainly dispel the narrative that it's kind of Liverpool, Man City going for it again, which I think certainly the mainstream media are very kind of keen to push kind of one more time, Pep versus Klopp. But you know, we needed to win the next 5 games. I would have told you it had I been on at the start of the year. We've managed to do it. We kind of have some pretty winnable games coming up in the league for the next few games until we play Man City away. So the order of the day is to just keep banking points, really, because if you want to be in the shake-up for the run-in to the last 8 to 10 games, you can't be coming from sort of 6 points back. You need to be right there with those sides. So really good performances. I think the bedrock has been just giving very little away, which in fairness we've been doing most of the season, but we've recently struck a better balance between kind of maintaining that and actually also threatening, scoring lots of goals. Really padded the goal difference in the certainly last couple of matches in particular, but generally over the 5 games, scoring 21, conceding 2, pretty much doubling our goal difference. And it is like an extra point when you're up there with the other 2 sides that had a significant sort of healthy advantage in that regard. We're right there now.
The difference between Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City right now is so little, isn't it, that goal difference actually might play a part at certain points in the season. And it wouldn't be outrageous to suggest that it may play a factor in the end of the season, because Liverpool still play Man City and Arsenal.
City got to play both, which I think makes
City play Arsenal and Liverpool. I got confused there.
Their fixtures end up the hardest because of it, obviously, because Arsenal and Liverpool played each other twice. Yep. It kind of means that City, as much as they've got a couple of their big games at home, because they've got to play both, it spits it out that they've got a slightly more difficult end to the season. I don't quite see it that way, because if you actually scratch beneath the surface a bit deeper, their final kind of 6 or 7 games, I remember a big point being made of it at the start of the season. It's about as really bar Spurs away, which I think they've got sort of mid-April. Other than that, it's kind of a dream set of fixtures. So I think you're going to want to have a lead going into that period, because if they get on top, you know what they're like when it comes to just winning and rattling off wins when they need to. So with those games, it'd be tricky, but they've still got to play both. And the way they're playing at the minute, they're definitely looking better than they were kind of pre-Christmas, when there was a little bit of complacency and they were missing players. But they are still fallible. I mean, we'll probably come on to talk about this at the game at the weekend, but they are giving teams a chance at the minute with sort of how they're defending in certain situations. And
dude, the Liverpool game away, in the Emirates, I haven't seen us in a long time stand so little a chance, even with Mohamed Salah missing. But it is very, very, very rare that we just don't find a way. And I was in a Twitter space on JLIFC, the Twitter page, after the game, and spoke about the thing that stood out to me is that whoever was in either side of midfield, so whether it was Ryan Gravenberch, Harvey Elliott, Curtis Jones, whoever was like responsible for transitioning from defense to attack, either side of midfield was just getting pushed back and back and back by the Arsenal press, really, to the point where we'd find a center mid in line with the center backs while we're trying to progress the ball forward, and then our midfield is suddenly just empty. Like, there's nobody there to pass to. And then we go to the side, and then it's, we're stuck there. And even the goal we scored was just complete luck and just will from Luis Diaz.
I will. No, we're defending. Yeah. The defending at the minute is the thing that kind of gives me hope. If I'm looking at us and comparing us to the other 2 teams,
defense wins trophies.
Well, and it's what cost us at the end of last season. Just the inability to we were conceding sort of 2s and 3s most games, and it's just very, very difficult when you get to the run-in to. It takes a lot out of you emotionally. Like, I don't buy into the whole sort of like they got too emotional. Like, it's not the only thing, but when you're giving that many goals away and having to come back and expend that much kind of physical and emotional energy winning games, I think it does take its toll. So I think actually the way we're going about it at the minute is certainly if we can kind of sustain that way of winning games and kind of ticking them off and on to the next, it gives me a lot more hope. And I do think if you look at the sort of underlying numbers with the defence, it isn't a fluke that we're not conceding many goals. In fact, we probably should have conceded fewer. So it's the only thing I could sort of look at and think we've got an edge in that regard. The structure's good. That the individuals do their jobs very well. They keep good players quiet in some big games this season. And I think that's the thing we're going to have to lean on in the running, because I don't think we're going to outscore. As much as it's been brilliant recently, like I don't think we're going to outscore the other two teams. I think it is going to be about keeping the back door shut, striking the right balance between sort of controlling games, but obviously not being too kind of sterile, which I think we kind of crept into earlier in the season. But at the minute, it's good. I think the only thing I'd kind of question, and it's harsh because it kind of hasn't happened, but again, it's sort of problem solving. It's if we go behind, have we got the answers in games? I think that's the thing I look at the minute. It hasn't really happened. We've been very good in the last 5 games because we get in front, we stay in front. And I think that's the only thing at the minute. I'm sort of, well, because it hasn't happened, how are they going to respond to it? They went 1-0 down against West Ham, and yeah, they probably should have beaten them, but they didn't have the answers. They went behind against Fulham, and for half an hour kind of huffed and puffed and couldn't find a goal. So that's the thing for me. It is going to happen at some point. We're not just going to go in front in every game and keep winning till the end of the season. It would be great if that did happen, but you are going to get asked questions. So that's kind of what they'll have to prove. But
yeah,
it is exciting. And I actually think that this year, hopefully we can go through in the Champions League, because I do think that in a weird way, as much as physically it takes more out of you, I almost think mentally it will be better in the league for it. I think actually at the end of last year, the whole having a week to prepare for each game, I don't think it helped us very much, in truth. I think if anything, it had the opposite effect, where it was sort of like every game's a cup final and you basically spend the entire week obsessing about it. And like City were better than us and had more depth, but they just were able to go through the gears every 3 days and kind of switch their focus a little bit. So like, right, now's the Champions League, now's the FA Cup semi-final, now's we're back in the league, and then the Champions League, then the league. I wouldn't mind having an alternate focus if we can kind of stay in there, and just takes a bit of pressure off the league and, maybe chance our arm a bit. But it's exciting at the minute. It can change very, very quickly. I think that's the nature of it. A couple of bad results again. That's the thing. We haven't given ourselves any room for movement.
One loss against a team that you weren't expecting, and
it feels really terminal. It feels terminal. I think the results City had at the weekend, for them, it's sort of like, we know what they can do. If we have a result kind of similar to it, like if we drop points where you expect us to win, I think it's more damaging. I think, to be honest, because I think you'd then look at it and think, well, you basically that's it. You can't have any more mistakes, and I don't think we've proven at this point that we can do that. You could see us winning 6 or 7 games in a row, which we did a couple of times last season, and we could well do this year. But if we were to drop points again, I don't think I could see us then like going perfect for the rest of the season. So it's good. We have to just keep winning. I think that the City game in a few weeks is big, because we've got a good chance if we can win the games before then to go there ahead of either one of them or Liverpool, obviously, because they play each other. And I think that's kind of where you want to be. You don't want to be too far back, because I just think it's because there's 2 teams there as well. And that's the other thing, is you're not just up against one side. You basically got to be better than both of them. And they're both playing well. So
it's rare that both will lose on the weekend or drop any points.
That's the thing. City drew at the weekend, and it's sort of like it feels like a big deal, right? But yeah, we've won 5 in a row, and we had to beat Liverpool. Like, it's not like teams have been beating them for us. So, that's the only time we've gained on them. The only time we gained on City is when they drew 1 game. Like, you're not in a top 4 race where there are drop points kind of most weekends. You feel like if you win and then you sit back and watch the other teams, like there'll be mistakes. In a title race, I don't need to sort of spell it out to you, Ali. Like it feels like if you drop any points, it's so damaging.
Yeah,
you know.
Absolutely. I used to experience title races.
No, but I
used to.
You haven't experienced
many
losing out from 90 plus points though. I think that's the thing. It's sort of like it's that feeling that like if you have any mistakes, like even a draw, like it feels really costly.
Yeah.
So
it does.
Yeah, we'll see. There's big games to be played.
It's interesting about Man City that against the quote unquote top 6. I think it's a very loose term at this stage, but they only won once and drew 4. Was it? And lost once.
Yeah, they've been drawing a lot. They beat United, didn't they? And then obviously we beat them, which was it probably should have been a draw, but they're not. They're very good in those games normally, like when they need to win. And there's still a couple to come. Like ultimately, the 2 biggest games of the season are still yet to be played, and they've got them in the period of the season where if they need to win games, they normally do. Yeah. So, it is different playing Man City in September to playing them in April. Like,
yeah. And I will say, like in the year that Liverpool got 97 points and lost the league title, we didn't win our games against Man City. Like Man City won the fixtures against us. It was 0-0 at Anfield and then 2-1. This famous goal line clearance from John Stones, if you remember. That was a 2-1 win for Man City, of course, and that ultimately became the difference, right? It's that game against Liverpool is going to be vital, and the game against you is going. Like I think those 2 games. Largely, if we know about Man City and title challenges against other teams, when they do happen, they will decide the Premier League title. Make no mistake. I wanted to go on.
Just on Man City, I think they definitely still have it, but I'm a lot less like. See, I'm just looking at their bench here, for example. There's a lot less goals off the bench, or guaranteed goals. You have players like Oscar Bob, Nunez.
Mateus Nunez is not cut out for you yet.
Yeah. So, I think in the running, there was one player that seemed to, like, in the past 2 seasons before, seemed to come up and have his big moments, and that was Gundogan. I think missing him is massive for them. Like, on the bench, I can honestly look at it and go, the only player that from the Chelsea game there at the weekend I'm looking at can bring guaranteed goals or goal threat is Bernardo Silva. Now, obviously, he's probably like one of the best players in the Premier League. Probably be one of my favourite anyway.
I think he's a starter anyway. I think he was on the bench because of Nigel.
He was just on the bench. But then, so you bring him in, then Julian Alvarez drops out. So they've got, they've basically got one good goal scorer off the bench or someone that's going to assist. But, like, it's not what it was. And there just seems to me like they're a wee bit more frail, or especially after the game at the weekend. I'm not as impressed by Man City compared to previous Man City teams. They're still incredible, but I'm just comparing them to what they have been.
Yeah.
I said at the start of the season, I don't think their squad was as deep. And I think that may show, especially coming into Champions League season as well. Be interested to see if they get an injury to anybody.
Yeah.
What they're like.
Back on Arsenal, though, there's so much to talk about, but our time is limited. We don't have forever. But I wanted to kind of close this out by talking about 2 players specifically. First, I wanted to throw a kind of a what do they call it? Pop quiz at you. So there are 7. Hopefully, you didn't see this post. There are 7 players in Premier League history that have recorded 75 goals and assists. So goal involvements before turning 23. There are 7 players in the history of the Premier League that have done so. Can you name them? Okay, you've seen it.
I've seen the post because I know Saka was in it, right? Saka was in there. That's why I saw it.
Right, Saka's in there. That's one of 7.
Eden Hazard?
Eden Hazard, no.
No?
Nope.
And what age is it before?
23.
Michael Owen's got to be in there, surely.
Michael Owen's in there.
Ronaldo?
Cristiano Ronaldo, yep.
Before 21.
Before 23.
23.
Gerrard?
No, sir.
Lampard?
No.
Wow. Rooney. Rooney's got
Wayne Rooney, yes.
Yeah.
That's 4 of 7.
Shearer.
Alan Shearer? No. No.
No?
No.
God, before 21.
Before 23.
I keep saying 21. Yeah. Oh,
I would say you got the obvious ones.
Okay.
Give us
For the sake of time. It's Rooney, Michael Owen, Robbie Fowler.
Robbie Fowler, I wouldn't have got
that. Cesc Fabregas.
Because you know what I was thinking it, but I didn't think he got enough goals. But he probably got loads of assists.
Yeah. Cristiano Ronaldo, Romelu Lukaku surprised me to see there.
Said Lukaku.
A lot of Everton goal involvements, and
George would have said Lukaku. George would have
put Big Rom in there. Yeah. We love you, George.
Who was the other one? That was 6, wasn't it?
Who was Bukayo Saka?
Oh, Saka. Yeah. Of course. So we got 5 out of 7. That's not bad.
That's not bad at all. Saka and Martinelli. I feel like there's a little bit of a difference in the way they started the season and the way they're playing now, because I feel like they're inside more often. Because Martinelli, you spoke a lot about how he's just pushed out wide, and that was like one of your main criticisms, because he's really good at scoring goals and being a box threat.
Yeah.
Against Liverpool, for example, he had that shoulder barge on Van Dijk and had him clashing with Alisson and just rolled it in. Very annoying, but highlighted like Martinelli's going like a little bit more in field now and starting to get into goal scoring positions more, while being brilliant out wide and rinsing Trent Alexander-Arnold, it must be said. It has made a difference in my opinion. The
wingers are important. Like I think, to be honest, I've had less sympathy with Saka than Martinelli, because Saka's been good, but Saka gets a lot more support on the right hand side of the pitch.
That's
in terms of combinations.
Yeah, there's a lot of overlap from Ben White.
We get overlaps with Ben White, and Odegaard stands very close to him, so he does get more support. Whereas Martinelli gets Havertz, who, Havertz has his uses, but he doesn't combine really with players. He's going to crash the box. He's going to, do the off-the-ball stuff. He's going to make runs and sort of pull people. But he's not going to stand next to you and kind of combine with you. He certainly isn't a passer. I think it's one of his worst traits is actually his passing is like so average for a midfielder.
Harry, you've just said one of these phrases that has just become common this year: crash in the box. I've seen.
People like
it's a new football phrase. A crash in the back post, crash in the box, and I just noticed it.
Because you get, you remember when I had this obsession with third man runs?
Yeah.
They're becoming quite common now. Like players are becoming more versatile, and midfielders are getting into goal scoring positions and stuff like that.
Coaches love it. I mean, coaches are absolutely obsessed with it. You can see why they're obsessed with him if you actually just watch what he does off the ball. But I want a bit more kind of combination play. I think the reason Martinelli was so good last season is because you put someone like Xhaka next to him who is kind of a ball dominant player, and even he didn't have loads of touches, but he'd just combine more. He'd make the kind of supporting runs at the right time, in and around him, and just get him closer to where he can score goals. He hasn't been in those positions. He's been better recently. I still would like to see him closer to goal. I'll be honest. I still think that in certain games, he's doing so much for the team in terms of sort of holding the width, staying wide, tracking back, off the ball, which is great. But I also want him getting into scoring positions. I want him actually to be a bit more greedy as well. He's getting into the final third and sort of looking to pass at certain points. I just think, just shoot, man. Like you've got good. You're a good finisher. You can score off both feet. Like just be a bit more ruthless. But I think the wingers are they're in better positions to score goals. I think it is helping. And I think hopefully it continues. But it needed to change, because essentially they were standing in positions to accommodate other players getting the chances, and they're not players I want getting the chances, to be honest.
Yeah, is it part of the reason maybe you didn't convert your chances a lot?
Because they're falling to Jesus and falling to Havertz. It's sort of like
not good finishers.
They're not good finishers. It isn't rocket science, really. I know XG, people go on about it, but there comes a point if you keep underperforming it, like it isn't a fluke. Look at the players that are getting the chances.
Thank you.
So
it's so, for example, XG is being used now by It's winding me up, Harry. It's being used by managers to defend themselves in a desperate attempt to explain.
So Tuchel was talking about
Tuchel and Xavi Hernandez, of course, because you go behind a lot if you just keep piling on shots from anywhere in desperate attempts to get something back from the game. You're obviously going to rack up XG. Like, it adds up when you get small amounts of XG.
XG in the context of game state is quite important as well.
Absolutely. And managers are now just using, we had XG. And then FootMob these days would put out, Xavi is not wrong. Barcelona would be top of the table according to our XG table.
Well, just you mentioned Tuchel, just very quickly, I'm so glad. I feel like I've called Tuchel. Sorry,
good.
Just happy for myself there. Anyway, carry on.
I continue to be more excited by the prospect of Xabi Alonso at Liverpool, to the point where it's worrying. Like, if anyone else comes in, I think I would be disappointed. And if he does come in, I have so high expectations that it may disappoint me.
Do you know my dream? My dream that Liverpool manager signing, it's sort of realistic, because obviously Steven Gerrard would be the one who'd be like, oh yeah, put him in, and Liverpool will do shy. But the one that's kind of realistic is that it's part of the Bayern merry-go-round. So you have Tuchel gets sacked, Alonso goes to Bayern Munich, and then Tuchel goes to Liverpool. That would.
Oh no!
I would happily watch that.
No, absolutely not. He's one of the last people I would want in the job, to be honest. This feels entitled, but I don't. Dislike.
He's one of the last realistic top managers that you'd want.
That's also true.
That's probably a fair way to say it.
And to clarify, it's not because he's a bad manager. I feel like he just pays too much attention to detail. Like, he's just micromanaging everything, and I don't like that. Okay. Before we move on, speaking of Liverpool, and we will talk about the sheer amount of injuries that we seem to get every single day at this rate, we will take a quick interjection and choose our short king of the week for this past weekend. I think I have made my choice, but a special mention goes to Bukayo Saka. It's a great performance. Great last couple of games from him. He is, of course, 5'9".
I think he's taller. I think we've had this exact discussion before.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure he's at least 5'10", which again I remember seeing that, and it does surprise me because
he's 5'10". Yeah. You are right.
Yeah.
Okay. You maybe double guess that.
Too tall. Sorry, mate.
That's he's tall by just an inch, but too tall.
Matt Ritchie for me.
Matt Ritchie for you.
Matt Ritchie, last minute equalizer. I do like what I do like about this Newcastle team is that they still have like Matt Ritchie, Jacob Murphy. They're a team with all this Saudi money, and they might well go on to do a lot of things. But in fairness to Eddie Howe, he's getting the best out of like these bang average players. And this weekend it was Matt Ritchie that popped up and got the equaliser for them.
Yeah, 5'8", of course. Matt Ritchie.
Yeah, he's I think he's about 32 or 34. I think I read there when I was looking him up.
He's 34 years old now.
34, great stuff. Yeah. Great stuff.
Fantastic, great achievement. I have a different option though, and Harry will like this. João Gomez, 5'9". Wolves salmon that rose up in the air and won the header to give Wolves the lead, and then later on made a lung busting run, do they call it in commentary, all the way from his own 18-yard box to the edge of to the penalty spot, really, and just cushioned one home from a Pedro Neto assist. Pedro Neto himself a short king, of course, but João Gomez bracing at Tottenham to grab all 3 points.
And the short dawn in the dugout as well.
Short dawn, yes.
O'Neill.
Fantastic.
They're doing really well, and like it's great to see a short guy get a header. I feel like we need like a a short guys can jump T-shirt. Maybe that could be our first bit of merchandise.
Yeah, if we ever do merch.
5'8", scoring a header from a corner.
5'9", to be fair, I think it is, but short.
No, don't tell him that. It's 5'8", man. Fits the narrative a bit better.
Okay, we'll pretend it is. João Gomez, I think that's my vote. Is it fair to give it to João Gomez?
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. Unbelievable.
I thought you would.
The head is clinched it.
Yeah. I saw that. I looked up his height because I thought to myself, I haven't heard of this guy until this year, or maybe last season. He cannot be that tall. And I saw his height and I was delighted. And that immediately sealed it for me. João Gomez, congratulations, the short king of the week.
Yeah, very good.
Long may it continue, João. Long may it continue. Now, Liverpool and Chelsea playing the Carabao Cup Final, Fergal. In the weekend. We don't have players, Fergal. But we don't have anybody. I read a stat.
Lots of them.
You have way too many of them. We have
way too many.
Turn the shirts inside out and just go on the other side for
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah, you can have some of them, definitely. Yeah, there's a blonde winger I wouldn't mind just having at all.
I think not. Liverpool right now have 9 injuries recorded on PremierInjuries.com. There was a rumor about Mohamed Salah that came from Egyptian media. As an Egyptian, I can tell you right now, it is wrong. It's not true. Hopefully, it isn't anyway, and it turns out that it is in fact just fake news. But the long-term injuries, of course, of Stefan Bajcetic is still out. Thiago Alcantara will never play football again in his entire life. João Matip is out until the end of the season. Trent has re-aggravated his knee injury that he picked up that made Conor Bradley burst onto the scene and get all the monthly awards for January, including, of course, Player of the Month in our monthly superlatives here on this channel. You can check it out. Specifically focused on Bayer Leverkusen, why Xabi Alonso should be the next Liverpool manager. Dominic Szoboszlai is out. Curtis Jones is out. Darwin Núñez is out. Alisson is out. Diogo Jota is out. We don't have anyone. Mohamed Salah is back, but at this point, if there is one more injury in midfield, genuinely, who would play in midfield? We would have to reduce Cody Gakpo to a number 8, let's say. So, Fergal, it's looking good for you guys. I have to be honest, I'm worried.
Yeah, I mean, the last time I was on podcast, I was saying we need something from outside of the club. We need a bit of courage. We need a bit of leadership.
There's some injuries.
Turns out in some ways, we need less leadership. Thiago Silva's been dropped in some of the better performances, and we've seen an upturn in performance.
Oh yeah.
I did say that on the podcast. I would like to see him being dropped, and look, we've looked a lot better for it. One person I need to apologise to is Disasi.
Axel Disasi, what a performance against City.
Axel Disasi, I'm sorry. At the start of the season, we're a wee bit overstacked in the right centre back position, and I took that frustration out on you. And you know what? You're not half bad, are you? Yeah, you are very, very good. And I loved his celebrating of some of his defensive actions. It was very NFL, and just after the Super Bowl as well. Celebrating a clearance or a block. It was like what would it be, like a linebacker, celebrating. I don't know NFL positions that well. Our linebackers on the defense. Anyway, answers in the post. But yeah, he's done really, really well. And it was such a good performance. But still, had a wee sprinkling of classic Chelsea. Nicholas Jackson playing really well, some great turns and bringing them up the pitch on the counter attack. He got the assist for the goal and started that attack. But he was but then he missed a good chance himself. Sterling again scored, but then maybe could have also took chances or passed better. But it was really, really good. The only thing was, we said it in the chat, in our group chat at the time, we just sat back far too early. Trevor Chalobah came on. We moved to kind of a back five, but it was almost like Malo Gusto was like right wing. And I thought that was done. It was done with 20 minutes left. I only ever like to see that happen when you've got about 10 minutes left against the top teams. I don't think you can hold on for much longer than that. So it was, I thought it was a bad call by Poch, but at the same time, the team did do really well. And there's a lot of heart to be taken from the performance that they put in.
I tweeted at the time as well. I tweeted and Harry said it at the exact same time. It's like it's the kind of substitution, or the substitutions Pochettino made, or the kinds of subs that cost the team in that situation. Like I think he got a little bit afraid way too early. But yeah, luckily Erling Haaland just didn't, for some reason, just didn't put his chances away. It's weird. And what else is weird is that Chelsea could have had 3 or 4 goals from the exact same situation.
Yeah.
Breakaways where there's only one defender at the back. It's so strange that City are just keep committing everybody forward, and then the one man back would be like Kyle Walker. And a goal comes from that. And another 2 or 3 instances could have happened. Another 2 or 3 chances could have been generated if the passes were better. But Nicholas Jackson is bad at football, it turns out. So those passes didn't reach Raheem Sterling. They were just like straight passes to Ederson. But yeah, it was equally frustrating and satisfying to watch, I guess, because Man City just couldn't finish to save their lives, and Chelsea at the same time didn't take those chances that Man City handed to them in terms of them being way too open, like way too open. Maybe that is by design by Chelsea, is to like just not jump at the chance to win the ball back and wait for Man City to get desperate and just send the ball in and then clear it away. And then those chances happen, but it's so strange from Man City. Long may it last. But it's weird. I think Man City got a little bit too obsessed with like keeping the ball and paid way less attention to what happens if we did lose it, and underestimated Chelsea's ability to win the ball back, or just like not allow them the space and force a giveaway in that way. Strange, really strange. But it gives you a little bit of hope, I guess, for going in the Cup Final.
You have to play midweek as well, don't you?
We have to play in midweek, do we?
Yeah, you got Luton tomorrow.
We do have Luton Town tomorrow. My bad. Yes, we do have to play in midweek against Luton Town. Obviously, a really tough fixture nowadays. Good lord. They've been putting on really amazing performances against big teams as well. A scared Man City went with Arsenal all the way until the last kick of the game, until Declan Rice scored in the 97th minute. Drew against us 1-1. So it is a tougher fixture than
rinsed Trent in that game. Benny rinsed Trent in that game a couple of times.
Yeah, 100%.
So I'm compared to, if you had asked me, like a week ago, I'd be saying, "Oh, Liverpool are going to win this easily." Now, with all the injuries, the fact you have to play midweek, and we're off a good performance, I think it's a hell of a lot tighter. I'd still put Liverpool just edging it at the moment, but
I would back us.
I think it's a lot more even.
I would back us based on our performances after the injuries against Brentford. But given that the same group of players have to play in midweek, and we don't have that many options for a rotation anyway, we'll see. Hopefully the Luton Town game is a case of, we just see the game out early, 3-0 the 60th minute, bring on James McConnell or whatever. Just fill the rest of the game with academy players and rest for the cup final. But yeah, I've slacked off the Leagues Cup a lot on this podcast, but ever since the last time we played in that cup final, in 2 years ago, wasn't it? That win was electric to me. I celebrated it more than a lot of other things that we did win, including the Club World Cup, for example. So I'm not taking it for granted. I really hope we do.
It was a pretty good game as well, wasn't it? It was lots of chances for both sides, and then a crazy penalty shootout, which Kepa messed up and
blazed it over the bar.
Yeah, it was the only one. Was he the only one to miss?
He was the only one to miss.
Everyone as well.
We'd never seen anything like this. Everyone scored.
He got brought on for the penalties, didn't he? And then he didn't save any. It was the only one to miss.
I forget that part that he was brought on for the penalty shootout.
Whenever it happened, my mate was like, "Oh, what's this here?" And I was like, "Oh, no, he is." I was like, I backed him in that moment. It's he has. I think did he do well in the Super Cup?
Yeah, it was the Super Cup. Yeah,
and he done well. And I was thinking, oh yeah, no, I don't mind this at all. And he's sort of got the ego to handle being brought on for penalties, and that's your only job, except when he has to take one. And then he didn't. I think he barely gets the penalty right. Never mind, get a hand to one.
He got a hand to one against Konate, which was the 9th penalty. Okay, surely something like that won't happen again this Saturday, right? Kepa's at Real Madrid anyway.
It definitely won't happen on Saturday, mate, because there ain't a game on Saturday.
Oh, is it on Sunday?
It's on Sunday.
Okay, let's do it.
I mean, I was trying to think. It's somewhere in the world.
Our Real Madrid might be playing in the Cup on Sunday. You never know.
I don't know.
Yeah. I was thinking. I don't think there is any time zone in the world that's taking place on Saturday. Sorry, mate.
Actually, okay. So it won't happen on Saturday, definitely, but likely not on Sunday. Yeah. So what's Harry? We'll take the neutral opinion first. Neutral. What's the score going to be? How's it going to
go? I do think it will go to penalties again. I just have a feeling for Chelsea. I honestly would have said it a few weeks ago as well, because I do think in these games, and the game at Anfield's a bit of an anomaly because they're just absolutely awful. But they've shown the ability to compete with these sides. I think they've had a couple of good results since, obviously beating Villa, getting a point of the weekend. I think it goes to penalties again. And I think Liverpool make it a hat-trick of penalty wins. I just don't think Chelsea have many good penalty takers, to be honest. Although they beat Newcastle on pen, so, it is flick of a coin with penalties. You just don't know. I can't predict.
I'm going to agree. I'm going to go penalties as well. Except I'm going to back our penalty specialist system in Petrovic. Ali, you probably know better than I do his penalty record in MLS.
He's pretty good at saving penalties,
isn't he?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping that it goes to penalties. I think we would be doing well to beat them in a normal game. But I could see maybe a 1-1 goes to penalties, and Petrovic is the hero for Chelsea. And that's what I'd love it to be like. He saves Trent. Oh no, Trent's injured, isn't he?
Yeah, Trent is injured.
Trent's injured. I would love to save his. Maybe Nunez's penalty gets saved.
He's injured as well.
Is he?
Injured, yeah.
Jesus Christ. Whoever's left.
Liverpool aren't going to have 11 players to take penalties, actually. So, what was it doing?
Yeah. You know what, though? I'll back my boys. For one reason only. Is that I think we score. And I just dislike Chelsea's attack. I really do. Watching that City game wound me up. Even the goal, Kyle Walker expects somehow that Raheem Sterling, who he played with for 5 or 6 odd years would somehow shoot with his left and goes with everything he has to block the shot with his left foot. And then Raheem Sterling just goes like chops on his other foot. It's so weird. But anyway, I think we win 1-0. The goal scorer, Mohamed Salah, early on, and then it dies out from here. I think it's going to be a boring final. But we'll see. I certainly think that Chelsea are much more capable of putting a boring performance more than the Chelsea team that we beat 2 years ago. So that's my theory there. And we don't have any players to make the score bigger. So I think that's what's going to happen. Okay, thank you, boys. It's really good to be back. At least 3/4 of the team here. Great to have you back, Harry. Great to see you again.
Great to be back, mate. Lovely stuff.
Fergal, thank you.
Thanks, man.
Hopefully you've cursed Chelsea there. And hopefully I haven't, because I have a history of cursing Liverpool. Okay.
I look forward to Petrovic getting nowhere near the penalties.
Same, man. Same. All right. Yeah. I'll see you boys later. See you, everyone out there. We'll see you after the final has indeed been played. And a couple of Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City games as well will have been played, and we'll know more about the title race. So we'll see you then. Have a good one. Cheers.